Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Watchman Podcast, your go-to source for everything related to safety and community at Rollins Middle School of Arts. And I am your host, Deputy Slusher. And I am here to shine a spotlight on the vibrant art showcases, thrilling sporting events, captivating performances of our amazing school and students. So join us as we celebrate creativity, foster connections, and build a stronger community together. Whether you're a student, parent, or passionate supporter of the arts, there is something here for everyone. So let's dive in and explore the heartbeat of Rollins Middle School. Hello, everyone, and welcome back to The Watchman. I've always believed that leadership doesn't always stand in the spotlight. Sometimes it stands behind it. Today, I'm honored to sit down with Adriana Melendez, a Rollins Middle School of the Arts alum, whose journey is a powerful reminder that purpose doesn't always come with applause. She describes herself as a part-time missionary and full-time stage manager, and that says everything about who she is. From opening and closing the curtain in her very first production, to working in nearly every theater in Somerville and Charleston, to stage managing a main stage production at Dock Street Theater, to working on film sets across South Carolina and the East Coast, even on projects connected to major studios. When the film industry shut down in 2020, she didn't stop. She pivoted. She returned to live performance, began producing her own projects, told local stories, mentored students, and now serves as a stage manager at Summers Corner Performing Arts, investing in the next generation of performers and production leaders. This conversation is about service, it's about resilience, it's about calling, and it's about the power of the people behind the scenes. Let's get into it. Adriana, thank you so much for being here today with me on The Watchman. I'm so excited to dive into your journey, some of the things that you've done, and where it all started. That's really exciting to me. So what does the phrase part-time missionary, full-time stage manager mean to you?
Well, first of all, I want to thank you for having me on The Watchman. I'm not very often, and we'll get into it very often, in the front of the lights. I'm usually in the shadow.
Correct.
We're literally bringing out of the shadow into the light in this moment. And part-time full-time stage manager, part-time missionary, to me is one of my job and one is my passion. So my job is I'm a stage manager. I'm a stage manager here at the Summers Corner Performing Arts Center. I've been a stage manager since I was in high school. I've worked in film and theater. I'm always in the background, and I love it. That's my job. That's how I've been able to see so many things, go so many places. But my passion is ministry, is mission work. And what's been cool is how the two have come together. My passion and my job have collided so many times in a positive way, have come together, have joined, where I've been able to do film, theater in the U.S. and internationally, and do my passion and my job and tell stories and help theater or stories or people's just talent come to life as I am traveling and sharing about my faith, sharing about how God's way is the best way, and how when we make art as Christians, and I really believe this, as we make art as Christians, it should be the best art. So one things that I struggle with is when I see art made by Christians, whether it's theater, dance, music, anything, and they're kind of just putting something together. And my thought, like, you have the most important message, the most valuable information, the most beautiful relationship, and just kind of like putting something together. I want everything I do, whether it is for mission work or not mission work, just my job, to be at its best because of who I represent.
Well, I can tell you, like, from looking at you from in the spotlight to watching you behind the spotlight, it's inspiring. Just here with the Watchman stuff, I never knew all that went into making the magic happen. But just watching your involvement, how you engage with our students here at Rollins, and how you engage with the venues that come in to make it right, and to talk about your faith, and to have discussions about your faith. It's very, very inspiring, and it's a nice story, and I'm so glad that you're
Yeah.
here. You know, I really, really am. Why did behind the scenes work speak to you more than being on stage?
Yes. Well, I went to Rawlings. I was a vocal corps.
You are an alum of Rawlings.
And I am, and I loved it. I thought I was walking into the movie Fame. And it was just the most amazing experience that I got to sing every day. I got to make friends. I got to have all these amazing experiences. But if you also notice something about a choir, it's a group thing.
Right.
I never went for the solo. I never went out in front. And I learned while I was at Rawlings that there was another position that was even more a part of the group, but just allowed me to do my own thing and never have to be in the front. And at the time, I had a friend, just an incredible vocalist, incredible singer, and she wanted to audition for the musical. And this was my best friend in middle school. And I was like, I do not want to audition for the musical. I don't want lines. I don't want to memorize things. I don't want to be out on the stage and where the lights and where everyone can look at me. I like the choir.
Right.
And I talked to the teacher who had this after-school musical program going on, and she said, well, you can audition to pull the curtain. I was like, what? Now, I think she thought that if I started singing or
Right.
something for the audition.
So you didn't sing while you were...
No, I actually auditioned, but I wrote on the paper, I want to be backstage. They might have thought they were about to find a secret talent. No, I really was not anything unique, but I wanted to be a part of the whole production. Well, it was a production that needed the curtain to be open and closed, and that's it.
How symbolic was that to you?
I got to see everything from the wings.
Right.
I got to have the full experience of being a part of the group, being something important. I mean, it kind of sounds silly,
So a lot
but
of people
the
don't
start of the
realize
show.
How important opening and closing a curtain can be.
Yeah, I mean, the dramatic ending and then the curtain closes.
Right.
Like, I learned timing, but I got to see everything from the wings. And that has been my story.
Right.
And so I've been to several different countries filming.
But back up for that started here at Rollins Middle School, didn't it?
Yeah.
That's where it all started.
It all started at Rawlings.
Wow.
Experiencing storytelling and life from the wings allowed me to help but not be the center of attention, which is exactly where I want to be always. Always.
So how did Rawlings Middle School of the Arts help shape your direction?
It was everything. I mean, truly, going to Rawlings, being a student at Rawlings was and is everything to me. And to be able to come back is just a full circle moment. I couldn't write that story myself.
How was it to come back to Rawlings now as a stage manager for the Summers Corner Performing Arts Center? How was it to sit back now and say, wow, this is where it started, and now look at me now, mentoring our youth, about leadership. How was that? How was that feeling?
Well, as a student, I had so many people impact my life in and outside of Rawlings. It was my science teacher who was doing the after-school musical theater program, not the theater teacher. I think the theater teachers helped.
Right.
And coming to a school of the arts that promoted the arts, that allowed you to try new things, try and fail, set me up so that by high school, I knew I wanted to do theater. I knew I wanted to do backstage and production. That the gift of knowing what you want to do for the rest of your life is incredible. And so I was single-minded and focused on that. So I'm learning all that I can. I'm starting to work with adults and begging them, just teach me anything. I learned how to build platforms and flats in my freshman year of high school and worked all the way up to the point now where when I come back, I'm looking at these students and I know exactly where they are.
That's awesome.
I know you. I know you because I was you. I don't think that's grammatically correct, but I'm in theater.
That's all right.
So I know you because I am you. And seeing these students struggle, wonder, fail, grow. That's exactly what I was allowed to do.
Right.
And Rawlings is that space. You are allowed to fail in art so you can continue to grow.
So what, is there something that, for maybe the youth that may be listening to this or tuning in, I mean, is there something that, what would you tell a student still searching for their place that has to do with the arts?
Keep trying. When you're looking for a place to be or an avenue to express yourself, there are so many options. There's sports was something that I did throughout middle school and high school, but it fell off because I was just so passionate about theater. But I could just have easily found a community and a life when I was doing that. As you're going and as you're trying new things and you're asking good questions and you're observing, see what am I actually good at?
Right.
What am I passionate about? And what can actually go into my future?
You can tell we're in a school because the school radio is going off.
I think a little bit.
So you know what? Touching on the Rawlings part, and you touched on your faith as well, and the missionary work, which I just think is outstanding, and we're going to touch on that as we go forward. But what lessons from serving in a church booth guide you today?
Well, I have a pretty unique story because while I was doing stuff at Rawlings, I was also doing stuff at my church. The church has audio, has lights, has all these kinds of things. I had all these opportunities, but there was also a wall. So all of these guys, these older guys, they knew exactly the way they wanted to do stuff. They didn't want anyone new. They didn't really want any bubbly energy, and I was coming in. And so as I wanted to do more in the booth, they kind of discouraged me from touching and learning
Set in
stuff.
their ways.
And I said, okay, well, I'll just go over to the local theater and I'll learn everything they're willing to teach me. And they were willing to teach me everything because it was free labor. I was literally just a volunteer. I mean, I crawled.
Free labor is good sometimes.
I crawled under stages. I got messy. I got sweaty. I got dirty. I learned all this stuff. And so when I actually came back many years later, and I got to be in a leadership role at my church in the booth, the first thing I did was I opened the door and I propped it. This stays open. If someone wants to come in here and learn, that's what we're going to do.
100%. 100%.
If there's a kid who wants to come in here and ask a million questions, we're gonna listen and we're gonna answer the questions.
And I see you doing that here at the Performing Arts Center with the Rawlings students.
It ruffled some feathers, but it also changed who felt like they could be a part. And so I now have students that were learning, but also adults in their 50s and 60s who actually told me, I'll never be able to do this. I'll never be able to learn this. I said, yes, you can. I promise you, you can.
How has your faith shaped your leadership style?
If Rawlings was everything, my faith was more infinite.
Right.
I struggled a lot in high school, and I think every high schooler does. So
Trying to find your place.
Not a unique story, but I really had a path for myself that I wrote for myself. And actually, God gave me an opportunity to go to Tanzania, East Africa, on my very first international mission trip as a 17-year-old.
Wow.
I love traveling. I love doing a bunch of different stuff. So I said, sure, absolutely.
Right.
In this setting, I got to witness and be a part with people who loved God so much that they were willing to be cast out of their community. They were willing to be beaten. They were willing to be the lowest of the low in their social life, in their culture. But they had more joy than I had ever seen anyone have, ever.
Right.
And I stepped back, I said, the life that I've written for myself doesn't have joy. You can't make it for yourself.
Correct.
It's something that's a God-given thing. That's the life I wanted. So that's when I submitted. I said, God, you take over my life. This clearly has not been working. I have fun and I have things that I like, but I don't have any joy.
Right.
I'm having way more stress over what I'm going to do next rather than living a life that's hands open. Gave my life to Christ, and this is where that missions and media came together. So I came back home, and the life that I wrote for myself was entirely theater. Mm-hmm. I thought, well, there are some systems that I put in place that are going to be really hard to break with this new life I want to live.
Right.
So I kind of pivoted and went into film. Thankfully, Trident had an associate's degree in film and technology. I said, okay, I'm not going to waste my time here. I'm going to try something new. I'm going to go get a degree. I'm going to work in this industry, see what happens. Maybe I go back. Maybe I try something else. I don't know. I just didn't want to waste time and be standing still. Ended up loving it. And
this was film, right?
This was film and television. And all of my skills that I had learned up until that point. I mean, I was stage managing at theaters downtown Charleston. I was working with different productions that were coming in and out of North Charleston PAC or whatever. All those skills translated beautifully into film. And then I learned new skills. And what I didn't know at the time is that my future position here at the Performing Arts Center was going to combine all of those life experiences, live performance, music, film, television, audio, podcast, broadcasting. Everything was going to pull together to be here.
And if I'm not mistaken, that film took you through the whole state of South Carolina and up and down the East Coast.
Oh yeah.
Working with some big producers.
I mean, at 17 years old, 18 years old, I was already starting to work. And when you start so young and you just do the best, here's the thing, I always tell students, like, have a good attitude and you'll always be hired back.
Right.
That, I had some skill, I didn't have a lot, but I had a good attitude. People just kept hiring me. And what would happen was, I would be in school or I'd be doing classes, I'd get a phone call that said, hey, I've got a week worth of work in Charleston. And I didn't know what I was gonna do. I didn't know where position or what production. I'd walk in and all of a sudden I'm like, oh, this is for a Bravo show. Or I'd walk in like, this is for HBO. Or this is for Nickelodeon. I mentioned to you that I got a call and says, we got 2 weeks of a shoot. Do you want to work? That's it. Like, I did not get any other information. I'm like, I need to learn. I need a paycheck. Let's go for it. Ended up being a Nickelodeon, like, short form content for their show.
But at a young age, at 17 years old, how did that shape your confidence working with some big, I mean, it's not like, your local corner. I mean, there's some big name, HBO, Nickelodeon, Bravo, there's some big names. I mean, how did that shape your confidence to say, wow, look at me?
Well, it ebbs and flows because in a moment you think, yeah, I deserve this position. I've worked really hard. Like, of course I should be on season 1 of a brand new show on Netflix or HBO or whatever. Like, of course. Then, and I try to choose humility now more than it gets chosen for me, you mess up. You say something wrong. You get the wrong piece of gear that your camera operator asked you for. And you realize that I am not only a little fish in a big pond, but I have so much to learn.
Right.
And even to this moment, I have so much more to learn. It was exciting to be a part of productions that had like money behind it, that could feed me and could have the best gear, and I got to have my hands on gear that I never would have because I don't personally have that kind of funds. But it was also really humbling to work with someone who'd been in the industry for 50 years and has the best way to set up a camera or a microphone. I mean, I saw people that were measuring distance of microphone to like the millimeter so that it would be perfect and correct. That precision also meant longevity. And that's something that I learned. But it's humbling to work with professionals.
Oh, I'm sure. I look back when I was 17 years old. I don't know 17, 18-year-olds around some of the film industry.
Yeah.
Like I probably would be like, oh, I think I'm gonna get back in my car and go somewhere else to stay in my
Yeah.
lane. So that's just truly inspiring to have that that confidence to go in on HBO and Bravo and Nickelodeon and be like, you know what, I got this, and I'm gonna. And it started at Rawlings.
It did, and I'm going to tell you something. I do think Rawlings kids can have be a little overconfident because we auditioned for a school and got in. You get humbled, but I love it. I think that what it came back to every day. I mean, I remember it'd be 5 a.m. I'm driving to a location that I've never been to for a film that I'm not quite sure about. I don't really know anything about it. And I would get so nervous. I'm like, why am I doing this?
Right.
Like, this is the dumbest thing. I could just get a real job. But then I remembered I love it. Like, I really love it.
And I can see the passion. Yeah. Like, just in talking and seeing you, daily through the grind, I see the passion. And you can't make that up. Like, you either have it or you don't.
Yeah.
And it's so nice to see somebody that's so embedded and so passionate about what they do. And our youth see that, especially here at Rollins.
Yeah.
And speaking of Rollins, I want to say that you and I have had conversations of you wanting to get together some sort of club, like a film club, like you wanted to, like maybe students after hours or after school, like students that may be interested in the behind the scenes work where all the magic happens. None of this happens with me and you if it's not for the leaders behind the scene. So I know you've mentioned that. Can you talk on that a little bit?
Yeah. So just personally, before I started working for the school district, I volunteered at Somerville High School specifically and taught production. While they were working on their play or their musical, I would come in a little bit before Tech Week and have a group of little ragtag kids. And I remember probably about 5 years ago, I had all freshmen that had no idea what was going on, but they were just really excited to be a part. And I had to teach them things like you have to wear all black when you're backstage so we don't see you.
Right.
And they're like just things that were very basic. And I worked with these students to the point where they're actually seniors teaching sophomores and freshmen, juniors and seniors, teaching the lower classmen, okay, you have to wear this when you come in. This is how you operate a spotlight. This is how you change lights. This is how you put spike tape for a piece of furniture. That I did just as a volunteer.
Right.
When I came here as an employee of Dorchester District 2, I'm like, okay, how much more can I do that in an official capacity?
Right.
Now, I've already spoken to the Wave TV, or not Wave TV at Somerville High School, but the Rawlings media. Each school has a media type course, or this usually the yearbook group or club or class. And I have spoken to those teachers. And I'm just going to start simple by coming into the classroom for a specialty. Maybe it's lighting, maybe it's filming or framing or editing, and start there to see who's actually passionate about it. But also, we here at the Summers Corner Performing Arts Center, we're a part of the co-op program. So that's high schoolers who have their IGP. They meet with their counselors and say, I have some type of interest in media, technology, theater, film, something along that nature. And and if they applied for the co-op program, they can be paired here at Summers Corner.
Right.
And we have several high schoolers that have come through here.
You do.
And they are learning real life production.
I think it's great. Like I of course, behind the scenes stuff, and you watch TV and productions, and it's so. That's where the spotlight needs to be. We can sit up here in front of cameras and lights, but it's the people behind the scenes, and it's got to start somewhere.
Yeah.
And I'm just so, I guess, excited to hear that somebody is so passionate about the arts and film. To wanting to do that with our students here at Rollins Middle School of the Arts is it's inspiring. And I know that there's teachers, and I know that there's admin that's all for it. They're 100% bought in. But But now that we've touched on the film, we're going to talk about the pivot.
Okay, yeah.
When the pivot.
Yeah.
How did you navigate uncertainty when the industry shut down?
So everyone remembers COVID. Everyone remembers 2020. I remember it because I was sitting at my desk on an HBO show, and we had just started filming. I mean, we had months of pre-production. We had literally just started filming episode 1 of like season 2 or 3 at the time. And the news came in, we're shutting down. Like, we're shutting down. Now, here's how it works. If you're on a show or a commercial, there's always a timeline. Okay, we're gonna be filming for 3 months. We're gonna be filming for 6 months. We're gonna do whatever. So you're always looking for that next job. Or funding has been pulled. This is over today, right now. So you call all your friends, like, hey, do you have a job? Do you have something? Do you have anything? This was over. It was done. There was no other job in the film industry to be had for, at the time, the foreseeable future. We really did not know what was going on. I go home, I kind of really don't know what to do, and I got a call from someone at my church that says, hey, you know that shutdown thing? Well, we're also not supposed to meet in large congregations until something changes. So we need to figure out how to film, broadcast, anything to our people so that they still get a message, they still get community, they still get our worship and music and all of that together. And I was like, well, I know a little bit of something about that.
Right.
And so I come over, we had nothing at our church. We had absolutely nothing. So I'm actually piecing together different like light fixtures and like open bulbs and cameras and stuff. And we have our first little filmed. At that point, I was going to film it and edit and put it out. And at that time, I just did it as a volunteer. I did it for several months, just thinking, okay, whatever God you want me to do, I'm open to it. And after several months, they say, hey, we want to hire you to do this. We want this to actually be your job. I'm like, okay, cool.
And that was the pivot, wasn't it?
It was. I was excited about it. All right, I'm open to this opportunity. I'm going to take it. It was also at that time, it was only a part-time job.
But the world was shutting down.
The world was shut down.
And you were pivoting, like, well, I'm not going to shut down.
No, when I tell you that I love this stuff, I love it. I actually would do it for free. And that's when my, full-time stage manager, part-time missionary, I would do any of those things for free. But what's beautiful is that my production and stage life is able to fund my missions life.
Right.
So anything that I wanted to do, where I wanted to go out and interview people who were working. So we have a group called Change Life Ministry in Moncks Corner. It's a drug and alcohol rehabilitation center. And I just got to go out there and film some of their work, interview them, and then hand them over a complete work so they could put on their website so they could promote it. Well, I can do that because I have a job.
Right.
I'm not, so what the shutdown taught me was I need to have stability that allows me to still be missional.
So with the pivot, you didn't sit down.
No.
Like you went to church. You didn't say, okay, well, the rest of the country is shutting down. I'm not going to sit on the couch. I'm going to plug ahead. And that's when your documentary series took off, right?
Yeah.
When you really started working on documentaries. Right?
Yeah. Well, working in the film industry, as soon as I graduated, every moment was taken up. I didn't have a second to myself. I mean, but you have to keep working, you have to keep going. Well, now I have this part-time job that's covering what I need. That's where my stage managing kind of, all right, here I am. And it allowed me some free time to take other gigs. It also allowed me freedom to say yes to the jobs that I really, really wanted. And one of them was working with a mentor of mine who was doing documentary-style filmmaking, which is what I really like. I did reality television, I did scripted television, but I wanted to tell real stories of real people. And so he was doing gigs all over, and I was like, just let me come with you. Right. Again, just that same mentality back in high school of anything. I will do anything, please. I just want to learn from you. And so we're going around and we're filming for groups called like Songwriters for Songwriting with Soldiers, where they pair soldiers with PTSD and actual real life songwriters. And so we would film that experience and then film their final production of what song they produced.
Right.
That's just a real story. Like no one wrote that out. It's happening in real time.
Right.
Did jobs at MUSC and Roper and just got testimonies of what doctors and patients and nurses are doing. That was my favorite.
That's awesome. Look, and you mentioned you had a mentor.
Yeah.
How important is it to mentor our youth? Like you having a mentor?
If you don't teach what you know, it will die with you.
100%. I am a firm believer. If you lock everything up inside of you, it's a complete waste of talent. And to be able to share that with our youth and to see the passion, because sometimes it's not just sharing your knowledge of something or anybody's knowledge of something. Sometimes it's, wow, this person is really like, they're going out of their way to really show me how passionate I can be in this industry. Because I do think sometimes that we may forget what does go on behind the scenes.
Yeah.
Like I may be on stage and I may play an instrument, or I may be a dancer, or whatever it may be.
Or just an audience member.
Right. We get so caught up on, I'm the spotlight because I'm out here dancing. But the behind the scenes with making the microphones are right, the sound checks are right, the lighting is right. There's so much more that goes on in a production than just getting on stage and playing my instrument or my dance that may be 3 or 4 minutes. I mean, a 3 or 4 minute dance could probably be an hour to 2 or 3 hours plus in setting that stage right for that 3 minute dance.
You're absolutely right.
And I just think it's so inspiring to sit here with you, somebody that should be in the spotlight more than the person sitting on the stage doing their show.
Well, and we all have talents. We all have skills and ability, and this is mine. And there are those who dance and sing, and they have worked their whole lives to get to that point. And I recognize that, meaning when I meet them where they are, even if a student's been working on a piece for a year. They have given a year to this piano performance or to this dance solo. They have given their best, so I'm going to meet them with my best.
Right.
I want students, when they walk into the Performing Arts Center, to be amazed. That when I walked into Rawlings Middle School for the first time, I really thought I was in the movie Fame.
Wow.
I want kids to feel that feeling. I want them to walk in and think, oh my goodness, the stage is amazing. The carpet, like everything, the chairs are set, and that the wings are clear, and so that they can walk out onto the stage and have the confidence that their mic is going to work, that the lights are going to trigger, that the things that they need so that their performance can go well is going to go well.
Well, you know, it's funny that you said it's going to go well, because every time I've walked into a set for what we do, because we're going to move into the Watchmen podcast now. We're going to move into the behind the scenes of that.
Yeah.
And I walked in and I look at our sets that's done, and I'm wowed. And, you know, it's the thought, it's the vision. And the Watchmen podcast wouldn't be where it's at without you. And I want you to know that. But can you touch to the youth that may be listening, or the people what goes on behind the scenes to make the Watchmen podcast?
Sure.
Because I was one of the ones, hey, you're talking to a mic and and I didn't really know when this idea was pitched. But let's let our youth, our students here at Rollins Middle School, what goes into the behind the scenes of making the Watchmen what the Watchmen's become?
Yeah. Well, it first starts with years of experience. And a student actually just asked me last night, he said, how did you get this job? I said, well, I've been doing this since I was 15. And here I am now. So it starts with just trying and going and learning and failing and trying. Once you presented the idea of a podcast to me, I had actually already tried and failed 2 or 3 podcasts, and then I have success successfully produced another podcast for several years. So I said, okay, I know a little bit something about that. So my past experience, success and failure, allowed me to present something to you that you were able to then go on and grow.
Right.
Now, on the tech side, there's a microphone. And so choosing the microphone to use is important. Choosing the instrument that you play or you record with matters. Then you've got to take that raw recording and you've got to edit it in some way. You've got to maybe do some audio processing. Maybe it needs to be louder, softer, or whatever. And that goes through time that you're listening, you're taking time to, or maybe somebody messed up really bad and you try to save face a little bit for it and you cut some things out. So you take that time. Then you also have an intro and an outro and you're piecing all of these elements together. Then you also have what you do a lot, which is you promote it. You're filming. You are giving these these snippets of these teasers of who they are. And then you follow up with, this is what we talked about. This is why people should listen. You make it known and share it to the world and encourage other people to listen. All of that is the background thing so that when somebody presses play, they just listen.
Right. It's truly inspiring. And not only, to sit here with the podcast, but we were able to do something together with a former superintendent from DD2, which is truly, I spent 5 decades in public education. And 23 of those years was as DD2 superintendent. That was Mr. Joseph Arpai.
Yeah.
And we were able to film with him and have him on the podcast and listening to his story. But I want to ask you something about that. Because there's something that you're working on, that you've been working on, something special from the heart. But before we touch on that, I want you, how was it to go back and to be able to film or do a podcast, or maybe I'm just going to say it now, a documentary that you're doing on Mr. Pie. How was it to go back and do something with a gentleman that was such an inspiring man when he served at the top in DD2? To be at Rollins Middle School when he was a superintendent, he was a teacher at Rollins Middle School of the Arts. To go back and sit down and the spotlight behind the scenes to make that episode with Mr. Pie so amazing. What is that? Tell us how did you feel going back to a man of his cap to be sitting there and now to promote something and do a documentary on him?
That was an experience and a lesson in this person doesn't even realize the impact they've had on my life. I couldn't bottle it, I couldn't box it. Rawlings Middle School started in 1997. That was the year I was born. I remember I was in Puerto Rico as a young child, and I had a dream about a school of the arts that I went to. Well, that was weird. I mean, as a child in Puerto Rico, we moved to South Carolina. We hear about this audition school called Rawlings, and I'm like, I don't want to do that. That's like a lot of work. Like, I'm not interested. A family friend said, audition for it. Just try. Just give it your best. I get that acceptance letter. I go in, and so there has been something set, not just for me, but for every student and every kid who loves what they do and just needs to let it out.
Right.
And he was one of the founding members of making Rawlings what it was and is today. And even this Performing Arts Center. Right. I mean, as the superintendent, this was one of the last things that he did. He made sure that this space was beautiful and was welcoming. Right. And a shining star in our district. So he has formed these things for many people. It just happened to uniquely affect me. So I'm setting up lights and setting up cameras to interview someone who has had just an unmeasurable impact on my life. on many people's lives. But I want to talk about the arts a little bit when it comes to Joe Pye, because he is always for education. He
Right.
wants the finest education. He wants kids to learn how to read and write and do math. And he was a huge advocate for that. He was also a huge advocate for the arts. And I believe that Dorchester District 2 is the district and the school district it is, with the Palmetto Finest Awards, with all these excellence.
Absolutely.
We are one of the lowest income areas and school districts of the state. But we have some of the best students that come out with excellences. They also come out with excellences in band, dance, theater. I mean, I can't tell you how many awards there has to be just a box, a storage unit covered in dust with how many awards.
Well, sitting there listening to Mr. Pye when we sat down and talked, and you being a student from Rollins and me, the outside kind of looking in on a different type level, just to hear how passionate, like I'm telling you, if Mr. Pye can go back behind a desk today, he would be back behind a desk today, doing what he loves. And to this day, he still loves it. But to hear his passion about no child is going to be left behind. And it doesn't matter about a funding, it didn't matter. Like, if I need to put this child in this place because I see potential and I see something, then that's what we're going to do. But to hear his story about how he was with the arts, you know, I mean, you sitting back being a Rollins alum, and to hear how passionate that he was speaking about how he felt about the arts in Rollins Middle School. I mean, he loved, it was Rollins Middle School and Flowertown Elementary. Those were the two schools that he loved the most. And when he got into a leadership role, he was like, well, if it didn't happen, it didn't happen. I'll just go back to Rollins and Flowertown. I didn't really want it. But to sit back now as an adult, doing a documentary on him or a podcast interview, you heard more from a man. It kind of put, like a puzzle, it kind of put the pieces together, because you saw him when he was at the top. And he's been retired for some time. And now you saw him still just as passionate, and how you looked up to him and the impact he had on your life. How was it sitting there on that dock? Like, just listening to him,
I got to actually watch him advocate for the arts. Like, as a superintendent and as a student in his care, I saw him in action of what he was speaking about. And to then hear from him the motivation behind that was incredible.
You can't make that up.
No.
I mean, the emotions, the tears, like you just don't, that just doesn't, you don't make that up. I was inspired. When I left there that day, I was wowed. Like, so I can only imagine, you know, I've got family that went through DD2. I'm not from South Carolina, but I always heard Mr. Pye's name as, you know, family that went through schools in DD2. And I've heard about Mr. Pye, like, you don't, if you're in Dorchester County and you don't know Mr. Pye's name, then you're living in a shell. Like, something's not right. But to sit down with a man that was so, and leadership, like his leadership style, like a family. And I mean, we'll go to Patrick, his son, who's the principal here at Rollins Middle School. I see that in Patrick. Like, he's the first one at school, last one to leave. His heart, it's you can't, I don't even know how to really say it, but you can't make that stuff up. So with Mr. Pye, this documentary that you're working on, can you talk about it a little bit? Like, what you're trying to touch on? Like, because I think it's going to be, it's something that is just a wow factor.
So it's really simple. I mean, you brought this concept. You said, okay, I want to do an interview. I got an interview with Joe Pye. I also want to film it. And just whatever comes out of it, just whatever. Just let's put it together. And I'm immediately excited because this is what I love to do. And I get to be a part of telling someone's story who I think is incredibly important in the area, but also to my life. So you gifted me an opportunity. You gifted me just an opportunity to hone my skills and to bring something to life. And so we just filmed the episode of The Watchmen, not only audio, but also through video. And we're able to put in some unique elements that maybe we wouldn't have normally done in the podcast. We brought Patrick on, we brought some other stories. And then later on, I filmed some other elements. And as I'm looking at, as we're sitting there looking at, I'm like, I could put this together in a way that we are able to tell his story visually as well as audio to generations to come.
It's incredible.
Yeah.
It's completely incredible. And I got to see a little clip.
Yeah.
I got to see a little snippet of it, and he's going to be blown away.
Yeah.
He is going to be blown away.
Well, and the goal with this was, because we have the interview. The interview is, you had great questions. You walked him through amazing story moments. So the interview in its entirety will be kind of a long form documentary of what he has to say, what he told about his life. And then in that, I'm taking different subjects so that little snippets, little snacks, if you will,
right.
of his story, his outlook on being a teacher, his outlook on being a leader, his outlook on passing it on to the next generation. And so you can watch the full documentary as it's coming soon, but also as these little bits.
It's exciting.
And for me, it kind of is a representative of how I got to see him. He would come into Rawlings, to observe, to see, or even maybe, if we had an assembly, he might have spoken. At Somerville High School, I saw him a lot more often. And I remember when we as a theater did not have a classroom, he came into the school. And let's just say.
You ended up with a classroom.
We ended up with a classroom.
That was Mr. Pye.
And I had never seen anyone at that level care about the arts. This is an area that loves sports. I played sports. It's amazing. I go to the football games, the softball, the baseball games. I saw so many people at such a high level within the town of Somerville care about sports and be like, oh, and also, music exists. I'm telling you, we have award-winning bands, concert performers, theater.
Right here out of Rawlings Middle School.
And to see someone who actually made things happen for the arts was impressive and inspiring, and it gave me permission to care. And so if someone came up against me and said, what you do doesn't matter, I was like, I'm actually going to stop you right there.
Right.
Because there is someone who is advocating for me in my world
100%.
who says that it does.
100%. And it's finding your lane and owning it is what it's about. So we're going to close. What legacy do you hope to leave?
Well, one of faith is the most valuable legacy I hope to leave. In every scenario that I've been able to bring in a camera or teach production, I've also just shared honestly where I'm at with my faith. That I was a broken and lost person who was doing broken and lost things, that God saved and redeemed and allowed my talents and skills and ability to be used for good.
Right.
That's what I want to leave behind, that we have a purpose, that we have value, and that we have a creator. And that the creator who has created us creatively, has given us creativity.
Right. What do you hope our listeners today will take away from your journey?
I hope that the listeners today take away that whatever you do, do it well. Do it with your whole heart. That my uncle used to say, if you mop the floor, you're going to be the best floor mopper ever. And that was me for a time. I didn't have a job at a time between gigs. I worked as a custodial. And I had someone say, I have never seen it this clean. And they allowed me to have another job and have a different position. I am still so young, and I am still learning. Truly, I am. But I love
Right.
what I do, and I love learning more.
It's so inspiring to sit back and watch you. I mean, it is so nice, your engagement with our youth, when the dancers come in, whatever it may be here at the school, just to watch. You can't make that up. And I want to thank you so much for everything that you do for the Watchman too, because the Watchman probably wouldn't be where the Watchman's at if it wasn't for you. And I want you to know that. I'm very, very appreciative of what you do for me with the Watchman to make all of this happen. It does not go unnoticed. So with that, thank you so much.
Thank you.
As we wrap up today's episode, I hope one thing is clear. Leadership doesn't always stand in the spotlight. Sometimes it stands behind it. Today's conversation is a reminder that impact isn't measured by applause. It's measured by consistency, by service, by showing up when no one is watching. From opening and closing a curtain, to working on film sets across the East Coast, to mentoring students and serving through mission work, Adriana's journey reminds us that purpose doesn't pause, it evolves. And sometimes the most powerful calling is the one that supports others. If you're listening and you feel called to something behind the scenes, something others may not fully understand. So until next time, take care.